Welcome to Cyclops is Waiting for Me, an X-Men animated recap podcast with Wolverine and the X-Men, the series finale, episode 26, Foresight, part 3. Hope everybody had a really good holiday. I'm JC.
And I'm Rod. Also hope you had a good holiday. Or I guess, is this right after Christmas?
This is in between Christmas and New Year's when this goes live.
Oh.
Yep.
So this is the week that if anybody knows me personally, or I think I've talked about it on here before, the other holiday seasons, this is the week of the year I do nothing productive. Sometimes I'm not even like around for people. It's my one gift to myself every year for like just the year, is I don't do anything but gain 15 pounds and play video games.
Watch a few TV shows.
I watch a bunch. I catch up the whole. If you were a personal friend of mine, and you told me something to watch, this is the week I watch it. So,
well, I hope you really enjoyed Has Been Hotel,
yeah,
which is a musical in hell in the days following Christmas.
Wait, was that on HBO Max?
No, that's Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay, I do have that. Very cool. I got it. I know this is way past this point, but on Black Friday, I got a bunch of streaming services. Like, streaming had like a good Black Friday run.
Whereas a lot of other places just lied about what their pricing was. So
really? I didn't get that. Well, like HBO Max was like $2.99 a month for the first 12 months. I'm like, all right. That's really granted, it's with ads, but like,
yep.
Could have been worse. Anyway, and Lucy is still here in her reindeer outfit from last week. Oh, you can kind of see her. She's still stuck in my butt because she likes it down here, I guess. This is the kind of cat that when I put my house slippers to the side, she'll like roll up in them and stuff. She'll dig my underwear out of the hamper and stuff. She likes my stink for some reason.
Rod, is what
she's cute. She's a little gross, but she's cute. Okay, so she's back down here. Anyway, Cyclops is Waiting for Me is our podcast series where we're going back and watching every single X-Men animated episode we can find. This podcast started with the original 1992 X-Men the Animated Series, building up to the release of X-Men 97. Along the way, we've completed X-Men Evolution, launched our companion interview show, The Xavier Files, and now we're finishing Wolverine and the X-Men, with Season 2 of X-Men 97 dropping in the summer of 2026. I didn't think ahead. We're watching this show! But I'm going to put this here before we finish the episode. I think I actually prefer this over Evolution.
Interesting. I'm going to want to get into that when we get to the tail.
I mean, nothing beats 92, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I think for me personally, the high school stuff in Evolution was cool. We had some good like trauma dumps for a good like season there.
We had 2 seasons high school of trauma dumping. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like this intertwined story. It's a little bit dark, but not, like where we've gotten with like the Batman in the 2020s. Mm-hmm. And the story's interesting. I mean, it's not, there's things I wish that were tightened up.
Yeah.
But overall, for an animated show that's, decades old now, like it's, I kind of dig it. I'm glad we watched this.
Some quick reminders. We are a recap show about a series that started and ended 15 years ago. There are going to be spoilers. If you don't want it spoiled for you, pause the podcast, watch the episode wherever you want, and then come back. We are not currently sponsored or affiliated with Marvel Animation, Disney, or Disney Plus in any way.
And don't forget to follow us on social media at Cyclops IWFM Pod on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, and TikTok.
Now, for the last time, with regard to Wolverine and the X-Men, onto the show. Today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 26, titled Foresight, Part 3. It aired on a Monday, September 29th of 2009, sits at a 8.6 star rating on IMDb, and is the highest single-rated episode of the entire series. I have a theory as to why. We'll get into that.
That's wild to have a series finale.
Better than the debut, yeah.
That, but also well after school started.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because the latest everybody starts is after Labor Day, right?
Correct.
So
yeah. California's weird because they decided, we're going to start in fucking August, but yeah.
So that where I grew up in Indiana, like, it wasn't all schools, but my school, we usually started, like, before Labor Day. And I remember that being weird.
Like, the week before Labor Day. California, I live within, like, eye shot of a school, and they start like August 3rd sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's something. I mean, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I think that's around when we started. Because I remember like other friends and other school systems were like, we don't start till Labor Day because why go to school for a couple of weeks and then take a break and then come back? Yeah. And I was like, oh, I don't know.
But that's trauma dump for evolution.
Evolution.
Starting off, we have the previously on. Since you haven't heard us in 2 weeks, we're just going to give the quick version of this. We have Jean with the inner circle. Emma trying to track down Jean. Doors get open. Kick out, whatever that means. Scott connects. The cuckoos proceed. Future Xavier is fighting. Wow, I really just looked drunk when I wrote those notes. And then we get more of Wanda being mad, and you see Magneto has reprogrammed the Sentinels by literally just like kind of just inverted motherboards, basically.
Just reverse the chips.
Yeah, reverse the chips, and then they instantly become his bitches, apparently. And then he goes and attacks a city full of people, murdering. After letting a bunch of Genosians get killed, he murders a bunch of humans too. So, it picks up with the city that is under attack by the Sentinels. You see a bunch of MRD choppers get murdered as well. Did you notice they didn't do what we always had to have happen in the 1980s with the helicopters, though?
Will they run into a building or something?
Well, it was always, if a helicopter got blown up, you'd always see the person like in their like ejector seat or have the parachute pop out and stuff like that. They were just getting taken out.
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
and they made like a side comment that S.H.I.E.L.D. had joined the MRD and never came back to it.
Yeah.
What? What?
We find out that Beast and his crew have taken 2 of those MRD choppers and are going to assist in the fight. I also love that this implies that those Sentinels, in the time it took the X-Men to just kind of like get out of like the jets and get into these helicopters, they went all the way from New York to Genosha, demolished Genosha, and then flew back to New York.
Fast.
Time means nothing.
Yeah.
But yes, for some reason, just because we had that one episode with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury, they're like, yeah, they're helping. Because I guess it's to address that big problem that people always have in comic books of like, well, if like a bunch of symbiotes from like Venom and stuff are attacking, why aren't the Avengers helping? Why aren't the X-Men helping? Why is it only Spider-Man who cares about it? It's like, well, you know, S.H.I.E.L.D. exists in this world, so I guess, yeah, why wouldn't S.H.I.E.L.D. be helping as a bunch of murder robots are killing a bunch of innocent people? So
I think, too, I think it was in the description of this episode. I thought I had it spoiled for me because it actually specifically mentions that S.H.I.E.L.D. had joined in the fight against the Sentinels.
Was that in the description?
I think so. And so I was like, oh, no. Oh, okay, so that's spoiled for me. Nick Fury is going to make a cameo. And then he didn't.
Nope. And then we see that Wolverine is on his way driving to Jean, and then we get the final time where I hit skip intro on this.
Yeah. It's our tradition for the show.
Yeah. So coming back, the MRD copters are going after 3 Sentinels, and then you get some X-Men using their powers. You get the voiceless Storm, who...
Yeah. She's the first one to attack, though.
She's the first one to attack. I feel like I need to address this now because we don't get like the big happy like reunion at the end. Really, where like there's no goodbyes or anything because this does end abruptly. I'm so disappointed how little Storm voiceover we got because they did a good version of Storm from the episodes we got with her.
Yeah.
I'm just very disappointed that it's just kind of like she has one last like display of power and that's really it for her in this.
Yeah, she doesn't have very much agency in this show. She's kind of, I guess, because they wanted to focus on Wolverine. So, sure.
And then kind of what you were alluding to in the...
4 weeks ago now?
Yes, 3 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago. Whatever. What you were alluding to is Nightcrawler is really, really good at fighting Sentinels, apparently. Did because he is able to just literally grab their head and teleport away with it.
So once again, I think if you remember last week, I made this allusion to Erica from Stranger Things. Like, this could be an Erica moment where Kurt should do this all the time.
Yes.
Like, he
with
could
real
just bamf.
people's heads.
Right. He could just bamf from Sentinel to Sentinel anytime. 15, whatever,
He did it with Spiral, and it worked.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's just like,
He
okay.
needs to do it to organics is what I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah.
A Sentinel does blow up one of the choppers, but we see Rogue and Iceman are able to escape. And then we get a jump over where Wolverine pops out of a van, sniffs, and is seeing the driveway of the... Is it a castle? Is it an estate? What is the proper name for what that building was? Because
my note says a
look
castle.
like a mansion.
Yeah, my note says a castle just so I wouldn't get it confused with mansion.
That's fair.
But there's not technically castles in America, right?
There are.
Oh, there are? Okay, I didn't know that.
I don't know if it's like... I mean, I know I definitely went to a thing that was called a castle when I was younger, so...
Oh, I mean, I've heard things called castles, but like because I've stayed. This is a weird flex, but because some friends got married in Scotland, I stayed at a castle before, and then I've been to Scotland since, and so I've spent time at like castles.
Yep.
And I've never seen anything like that in the States, and I've traveled a lot, like as a touring musician for a couple decades. Hey, Luce, you want to say hi to everybody? She's getting up from my butt.
Ranging from the historic Gilded Age mansions to modern replicas, there are lots of castles in the U.S., according to Google's AI assistant, including the Biltmore Estate in North Carolina, the Hearst Castle in California, and the Belvedere Castle in New York. So,
I wonder if that's like a technicality from our like a architectural standpoint or something. Because like in my head, castles are like, pre-colonization, right? It's like a different timeline.
I don't know. There's a bunch of people apparently arguing about the definition of a castle, but
I kind of get it though, because like, and not to be like the guy who's like, when you see it, like maybe it's just a bigger scale, because even the small, like I stayed at a small castle when my friends got married, because they rented out.
Bougie motherfucker.
So they're the ones that bougied out. Like they rented out a castle. Here's the thing, friends, I don't know why younger listeners would be listening, but if you're younger and think about getting married and you don't have this experience,
younger than us or actually young?
Actually young, like okay. Consider your guests and your friends. So these friends, even though they got divorced, they didn't make it, but the wedding itself was like very considerate, because they got legally married and then didn't have their wedding because they knew they wanted to have it in Scotland. They didn't get married, I think, till 3 years later, maybe. Mm-hmm. Like, but they were legally married before, but they had the celebration 3 years later because they knew they wanted to have it in Scotland, and it gave all of us time to save for it.
So they gave you warning on the time frame.
Yeah, they told us all when it was going to be, where it was going to be, and I think also for them, they probably had to save up to rent a fucking castle. And so
I would imagine that was not a cheap wedding. Yeah.
And so, because we had the whole thing, like every guest we stayed, it was like when you take over a hotel, for a wedding, only it's a castle and we stayed in there, but like the flight over and everything. So our group of friends, we literally we did the math. We're like, we save like X number of dollars a day, every day. And this is when I had like a day job. Yeah. Then we know that we can do this. And so I ended up going over there, and we were in the small castle, and even that was like, I don't know, it's old, it was like 1800 or no, it's like 1700s, right? Like it's like before, like pre, actually, I don't know my history very well. It's before American history, right? It's before
it's 1492, basically.
Yeah. So like the 1400s, like we see, like I'm used to seeing history in America up to a point.
Yes.
And then it wasn't until I went to Scotland a couple of times I was like, oh, there was history before this, and then to see that like architecture. So I think a castle. I think of like 1,000-year-old
King Arthur shit,
stone building. Yeah. So. Yep.
Well, inside the castle, Celine is draining Scott.
Sure he is.
See? I knew it was going to happen.
It's the wording.
Emma basically is like pleading to not make the mistake of the Phoenix, of like trying to capture it, because it's going to go horribly, horribly wrong. Scott is talking about how, they've seen the future. They see what happens. with all of this. And that's when Selene reveals the original Jean explosion was because of Emma's fuck up. That's okay.
And
I
the cuckoos.
can read.
And it was kind of her fuck up, but like I guess she didn't know that the Phoenix was there, right?
Well, she knew the Phoenix was there. I think there was an overconfidence that she could control the Phoenix by herself.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
And then the Phoenix like essentially vaporized everybody like mentally.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's where you see in a flashback that Emma and the Cuckoos were at the gate. They were trying to stop Charles, so Charles wasn't going to be able to interfere. Jean sensed the attack, and that's when the Phoenix basically went into like fight or flight mode, essentially. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. They talk about how it was the miscalculation on Emma's part. That's why I say, like, she knew it was there, but she didn't know what was going to happen with it. And then they reveal that it was actually Emma who sent Xavier over to the beaches of Genosha, and that was their way to earn the trust of the X-Men, because she was the one who found the missing Xavier, a year after everything had hit the fan.
Yeah. And then inside Jean's mind, the Cuckoos are giving her a hallucination. And this is the CG thing that I mentioned when you were talking about like the car.
Yes.
This scene was definitely like that hybrid computer graphics with the
when they
2D
were doing
thing.
The manipulation and stuff like that.
Distorting of the world, because Jean's like as a child is running down her childhood street, but it's like that nightmare version where everything's dark and the streets are empty and everything's like warping and stuff. And she runs up to her childhood home and her dad's there. And her dad is Emma, is like, open the door. Oh no, it's Cuckoos, right? The Cuckoos are like, open the door.
Yeah, and they we have that back to her origin episode. It's Magneto's coming, because we knew Magneto was showing up at her house trying to recruit her, and stuff like that. She pushes the door open, they run in, and then there's like a weird like sucking from the door, and then the door explodes. And like, was it the door ends up like making shards and stuff like that. She stops him, and then Magneto, quote unquote, literally just throws a car through the window.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Literally, it's like, then Dad is like, no, it's fine, we need the Phoenix to stop it. Like, we were giving Emma shit for like her acting a little bit. It feels like the Cuckoos are worse at acting than Emma.
Oh yeah,
because there's no point of subtlety. They're just like, just throw everything you can at this woman.
And I don't know if this is how the Cuckoos are supposed to be, but in this show they're kind of portrayed as having like no personality.
They eventually develop personality, but at like early introductions they are kind of like, there's a reason they're called the Stepford Cuckoos.
I was gonna say, because you called them the Stepford Cuckoos in the last episode or 2 episodes ago.
That's what their proper name is. Yeah.
Because like that is like, it reminds me of the Stepford Wives.
Very much like that. Yeah. It was an intentional allusion to that name. So they run upstairs, and it was like kind of that nightmare moment that I've had, at least. I know it's like a trope that happens in a lot of people's nightmares, where they're running up the stairs but they can't go up the stairs. It's kind of like an escalator scenario. But eventually she does get to the top of it, and they get into a room, and she's kind of like freaking out a little bit. The dad is encouraging her. Door opens, and then it's Xavier. And you see the Cuckoos who are mouthing the words for Xavier, and they're asking her where the door is. And then it's simultaneously like a really clever illusion, but then at the same time a really lazy one, where it's like, oh, there's a bird cage that's covered right now that has like a little, like, I don't know, cockatiel or something like that chilling inside of it.
It would have been a great cutaway for like Leland to just like slap Sebastian in the back of the head when that reveal happens, like the bird cage.
But then
none of you thought about
pay him to talk.
Yeah, it's like, nobody thought about that.
Yep.
The bird cage for the bird.
Stop dying. There's an opening. There's light coming in from behind the door, and the dad is yelling for her to open it. And then, as that happens, you start to see every Magneto, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver bursting through the door. It's opened. Then Xavier throws her out of the way, which is my favorite shot of the entire episode.
Yeah, nobody's. Everybody's in desperation mode.
Mm-hmm. And then the all of them, which you see the reveal that all 5 of the illusions she's seeing are the Cuckoos. Obviously, they all just light on fire in the real world.
Oh yeah, they get into the Phoenix outfits.
Mm-hmm. They do. Yep. In the future, you see Xavier and Wolverine. X gets to. Oh, sorry. Xavier is talking to Wolverine as he's getting into the MRD trust, and he is basically relaying the message that modern day Wolverine needs to trust Emma, but it gets cut off for future static.
Yeah. Well, I guess they imply that they stole like the makeshift Cerebro or something. I guess to make that happen.
Yeah.
So they didn't quite know how it worked. Or something. I don't know, something.
Yeah. And then in the future, he's revealing that he's like finishing the sentence. Doesn't know if it got through. Essentially, there was no service, and they're like, "All right, well, looks like we need to go and stop Master Mold." And I know you've heard me talk about this character. This model for her, especially with like the full reveal, absolutely looks inspired by Danger, which is the sentient version of the Danger Room, which is a female presenting robot. So
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And then everybody is like getting ready to have this big fight from it. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there's just like, there's a bunch of fights. They take out a bunch of the Sentinels.
I like that Domino leads that fight. That should happen more often, right? Because if she's the good fortune, they should have her step in first every time.
Every time. They have like a little bit of a regroup, and it's essentially like, this ends tonight or we're extinct for forever, which I think I paraphrased that in the last episode, but it's a really, really good line, him saying that.
It's also a very millennial theme. Mm-hmm. Like, only tonight. Yes. The only thing they could have added to that is we need to dance.
Yep. Berserker makes a head explode because, at least Berserker is there. You get a swarm of X-23s attacking and stuff like that. So, back in the modern day, one of the copters gets dropped or has a sentinel that they're attacking, and then probably the coolest like pairing of like powers. It's not even a pairing of powers. It's just her using her power as well, I should say. Kitty hops out with the missile and then leaves the missile inside of the Sentinel and just kind of like does the like, I'm cool as hell walking away from it scenario. I loved that visual, man.
This is another thing I was referring to, like the Kurt with the Sentinel head thing, like the OP stuff. Is like, oh yeah, doesn't Kitty do this all the time? She can just step into Sentinel with a grenade every time.
Did this Kitty have the problem in the early episodes where she was like running into walls and shit like that, or was that previous Kitty?
Honestly, I can't remember.
I feel like that happened during like the Nightcrawler Colossus Danger Room fight in the first episode.
Okay.
I could be wrong on that one.
But like
all the character moments that are not like defining story moments start to blend, unfortunately.
Yeah. So. But I guess like it's just at some point because they've been fighting for so long, and she's had really cool moments. Like she's taking like vehicles through stuff and things like
defending the little girl in the mansion and stuff like that. Yeah. And
so it's like, okay, yeah, why doesn't she just did she do that? Yeah, take out Sentinels from the inside. Her and Kurt could just take out all the Sentinels while the team goes to do whatever else. I don't know. It was like...
Then Beast shows why this is a poorly written version of Beast, because he thinks he's going to attack the Magneto Sentinel with missiles. Which obviously gets turned against him. He's able to jump out in time. and then Rogue saves him by stealing some of Bobby's ice powers and then freezes him to the side of a wall.
I think they showed the detail of Bobby like limping a little bit, like not limping, like wilting.
Yeah, they do that. They do that thing where when they've shown Rogue drain somebody, like you see like the pseudo veins like pop out even in like ice form. You see those like pop up on Bobby's head and stuff like that. Back over in the Inner Circle castle, Wolverine gets stopped by Leland and by Pierce. And that's actually where you get the reveal of the cuckoos with Phoenix logos on them. You see Emma is trying to get back to Jean, and Sebastian is like, go crush the Sentinels and destroy the X-Men and then burn Genosha. I don't know why that happens. I feel like there was a scene that was cut that for some reason they decide that's what needs to happen right now. Why does Sebastian care about Magneto, the Sentinels, and the X-Men right there?
Okay, I was going to ask about that because I'd forgot. Like I thought I'd just forgotten.
No,
like why they cared about that.
It is a full-fledged disconnect for me from the story on that.
And I think I remember something from when your note right before that was like Emma has told the Inner Circle that the Phoenix is going to try to find its way back to Jean.
Yes,
and so that's how they're going to like.
That's what I meant there. Yeah.
So that's how they're going to cycle it back. Is like they have to kind of use Jean as bait. Or no, not bait. Like, is the reason the cuckoos are having trouble?
Why they can't fully control it.
Yeah. It's because it's going back to Jean.
But I do not know why Sebastian is invested in crushing the Sentinels, destroying the X-Men, and burning Genosha.
Yeah,
X-Men, sure. I could kind of get that one because it's like they need to cut off ties for her to get support. But I don't know what he would care about the Sentinels and Genosha at this moment.
Unless they were trying to be the supreme power or something, but we didn't get an inclination that there was like a battle before. Yeah,
there was no crossover between them and stuff like that. It just, that one, if I have to give this episode a critique, that is it came out of left field, and I don't know why it did.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Other than we have to wrap up the episode, which is obviously a poor writing excuse.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you get like the big like explosive Firebird moment that gives Emma an opening where she cyclically shuts down Celine and Sebastian Shaw's head, and then is like, goes over to an unconscious Scott, and then does like the "Don't leave me" and tries and like kisses Scott.
It's like a Snow White.
Yeah.
Sleeping
Beauty stuff. Yeah. And then she's immediately telekinetically thrown by an awakened Jean and wrapped up in rebar in like the walls of the castle.
It's such a great moment.
It's a really like whiplashy one because you're like, she's showing she cares, and then Jean, who she just completely screwed over, is like, we're not going to have that right now.
I like that. That's what woke her up too.
The kiss.
Yeah, because they established
kissing my man right now.
They established like a connection in the last episode, so Jean could feel it happening.
I didn't even think of that, Rob. That's great.
All right, clip for the week. Sorry.
Jean is like, we need to get to, or Emma says, you need to get the Phoenix, you need to get back, and she could, help. Scott is like, no, we're not gonna do this.
Yeah. But Scott stops Jean from killing Emma.
Yes.
Because Scott's like, we'll deal with her later.
But Scott is also like, we can't go and do this. And Jean's like, we have to try. Because Jean knows what the rest of the legend of the Phoenix is, that Scott hasn't really gotten that kind of like breakdown.
Yeah.
So, and then the big mega fight starts where the Magneto Sentinel sees the Phoenix and then just starts wiping out Sentinel so easily to the point where a massive fireball hits Magneto, the helmet flies off, he crashes down, and then Quicksilver like gets to him, and instantly Magneto has given up. And
it's the helmet.
I also don't know why Magneto now feels like he's given up when there's a thing that he wasn't even aware of taking him out. Like, he's like, cool, I'm done.
I think that's what it was, though. He was like, oh, there's something more powerful than me. Oh, that was a nice run.
It just feels mega rushed.
I'm figuring out now, too, because remember the very first time his helmet got focused on when it was separated from him and it didn't really turn into anything for a little while?
Yeah.
I'm guessing now, I'm seeing now that the writers or animators or something for the show are kind of equating the symbolism of Magneto's power to his helmet, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's like whenever he loses it, it's like a signal to something fishy happening. And this time, like, you see his helmet fly off and he's like, well, I lost my helmet, so I'm done.
Yep. We get more of the future fight. More Sentinels get taken down, and then Vanisher tries to drop Wolverine from above, and that's when there's a force field around Master Mole's head. They keep trying to get through it. They fail, and you see a bunch more of the Sentinels as well as the Prowlers popping up from like silos and other hidden things. So again, I feel like there's still not that many Sentinels, all things considered. Like, there's dozens at most at this point.
Mm-hmm. It's not the overwhelming amount that we've seen in like 97 and stuff, where it's like the sky is just, it's like blackened by the Sentinels have obscured the sun.
They're surrounded, and that's when there's a reveal of Marrow. And he's like, how'd you find us? And Marrow is like, well, I didn't, she did. And that's where Polaris is revealed, which I don't know what Polaris, like how they tracked him, but whatever, we'll just take it as it is.
This is confusing to me too, because I thought in that moment that the Sentinels were brought by Marrow and Polaris.
Okay.
And then they might have also resurrected Rover or something, like, Yeah,
no. Nope, this was just Polaris somehow, it was a wizard, tracked them down. And then Polaris proceeds to drop basically every Sentinel that is there, with the exception of Master Mold. So,
I still can't get through Master Mold's force field thingy.
And then Master Mold, well, they do take out the force field, and that's when Master Mold starts rising up out of the ground, and you see, like, for some reason, there's boobs on Master Mold.
Mother, right? Like, but I also, like, I didn't, when we first saw Master Mold, like, a little bit ago, I thought it was implied that it was just, like, the head.
Like, just the head. Yes.
Because it survived, like, whatever, the attack previously and stuff. But then she just burrowed underground.
It just raises up like it's no problem, too.
I know, it's so funny.
And then Polaris hits Master Mold with a giant bowl of Sentinel scrap. And you get kind of this, like, moment where it's like, this war against the natural order of things, which is ironic for a robot to say, ends now. And then, like, there's this, like, giant, like, force field suction power that's going on that begins just, like, sucking everybody in. And that's the last of this future fight that we see.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's supposed to imply that, like, they die if this is what happens, like, in the
time
present
is changing.
doesn't get changed or something. But it was like, it was a very anticlimactic fight for them to just still, like, all get kind of taken out really easily by Master Mold,
Yeah. I'm going to make a comment on that a little bit when we get to the actual ending.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to be curious on your vibes on the ending. So, in the modern day, Emma is still tied up. She sees Logan and gets asked to cut it loose. And you get the impression that Wolverine is not going to save her because he basically does, like, the claw threat with her and everything like that, and is like, you've done enough. So you kind of, it's left as, like, is he not going to trust her, and is that why the future is going to come to pass kind of scenario.
But then she says the words, like, she's like, but you have to trust me. And it's like he remembers, like, Xavier's thing.
Yeah. Over in the city, the fight, all the X-Men are down. It's pretty much implied that it was, the Phoenix has been able to take them out. Jean taunts the giant fire bird and is like, what, you want me back? And all the cuckoos are in pain. It tries to head towards Jean, and then Scott, of course, fucks it up from off camera by shooting the Phoenix, which then sends the Phoenix crashing into the ground. This version of Scott is hard, man. He really is.
He's a Star-Lord from Infinity War,
he's
right?
Star-Lord. Yeah. So it sees Scott, ends up like knocking Scott out. Jean is like kind of like KO'd and like gives one last little like telekinetic burst and then like almost passes out. And what looks like the Phoenix is going to reconnect with Jean. Emma runs in front and takes, the bullet for the save effectively at that point.
And I was confused at this point. Was she already in diamond form when she took the hit, or was she not? She was just absorbing.
I think it was absorbing and then turned into diamond to keep it like.
Because that's what I saw at the end. I saw after the thing when then she turned into diamond form. I was like, oh wait, so she didn't like block the hit.
No, it was the as a psychic she absorbed it kind of scenario. When that happens, all the cuckoos get spit out essentially. And she's like shivering from it, which is like a really cool visual for the Firebird kind of scenario. And she is telling Scott to get Jean away. Wolverine shows up, and that's where Wolverine's like, we have to trust her, going back to the Xavier moment. And she says she's basically gonna release the Phoenix, and she starts cracking, says I'm sorry to Scott, and then explodes into the air and becomes the most profitable storm in history.
Right. That should be lacerating everyone, right?
Yes, everybody is very okay with diamonds falling from the sky and just cutting into them at that point. And then you get the illusion that, like, Scott is obviously hugging Jean, but he has the moment with Emma, too, of, like, could this have been a thing? No. So, side note, because the show is over, so we don't have to worry about spoiling something for a future season, in the comics, Emma has been shattered and was able to reform from being fully shattered. So I was wondering about that. Had the show continued, I think they could have taken that route into the next season. So
it gave a very like Mr. Sinister in the Sand vibe.
Yes,
from the original show, like
or Magneto burning up in the atmosphere vibes and stuff. Yeah.
But I guess it's a nice sentiment to have like the.
She had a noble sacrifice.
Yeah, I've heard like now because I've been in LA now for a decade. Like I've had enough writer friends like comment on like the right character to sacrifice in the show because it can't. Well, until Game of Thrones, it couldn't be like the favorite one, but it had to be someone that people invested in enough, but wouldn't be a loss if it didn't come back. Like even if they didn't bring Emma back later, it wouldn't have like killed the show.
It wouldn't be had they killed Daryl Dixon on not Game of Thrones, Walking Dead.
Oh, okay. I don't watch
Norman
that show
Reedus' character.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he should have died, but because of how popular he got, they would have lost the show a decade ago in that scenario. So
yeah, so Emma is like it makes sense in hindsight that she was the one because we spent so much time with her. Which is not a huge loss in the grand scheme of things for the X-Men show. For
this show in particular, yeah. I mean, the way modern X-Men storytelling is, it's a massive loss if you were to lose Emma, but for what this show was doing in 2009, it was the right call. So.
I guess, I mean, like, as far as, like, pop culture, like, if they ever, like, permanently killed Wolverine, it's like, I think the franchise would be over,
yeah, pretty much.
If they're like, we're going to retire Wolverine forever.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Like, what?
Wow, you guys really hate mutants.
Right.
Actually, that's what happened for a minute when there was all the Fox, the Fox stuff going on. They literally tried to make the Inhumans happen, and they did a story called The Death of Wolverine, and X books got, like, pushed down a little bit in favor of trying to make Inhumans mean something, and of course it didn't work. So
I heard about that. Yeah, we all know how well the Inhumans thing went. Actually, speaking of that, like I was doing some Christmas shopping earlier today, and I was like at one of those like chaos discount stores, like I'm sure people know what I'm talking about. Like
you wanted to buy that Black Bolt action figure, didn't you?
Well, was why you kind of got close. I saw an Eternals Monopoly set, and I was like, I didn't know this existed, but this is the place for it. Even though I like the Eternals movie, it's wild that they had so much confidence in that they made a Monopoly.
Rod, I'm just going to say this to you, because we're recording this before Christmas. If you bought me that as a Christmas gift, we have to shoot a follow-up video where I'm hitting you over the head with the box of the Eternals Monopoly board.
No, I actually...
saying.
I already got you something, and this is the first year I was out in the wild, and I was like, this.
Nice.
Because it's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It's weirder than an Eternals Monopoly set. And
we'll post both of our various Christmas gifts on the Instagrams.
Oh yeah, and I got JC's. I don't have a tree, but I have a bust of Scorpion, which is the closest thing I have to a Christmas tree. So it's underneath that.
The guy who literally has been in hell is your Christmas tree. Perfect.
Yeah.
We cut over after seeing Sad Scott to the mutants in the rubble of Genosha, showcasing all the survivors, and you do actually start to see some of those mutants that I mentioned, like the stronger ones who we assumed were not killed in the massacre that happens, like Senyaka and Mercury and that crew. And Magneto is essentially like admitting his mistakes to Wanda. And she used to think that it was all for the good of mutant kind. She used to believe in him. And she says to Quicksilver that he's welcome to stay, but is basically renouncing Magneto. And you see Quicksilver makes his decision to stand by his dad because, what you were pointing out or like previously, it's really like he's so broken and he just wants Magneto's respect and attention that he'll make the wrong decision just to be at his dad's side. And then Lorna follows Wanda as they start to walk away, and then Blink shoots them with her little teleporter thingies, and we don't know where they got sent.
I guess that's the second season plan or something.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like Magneto had completely given up because he didn't fight back at all.
I don't think he was in much of a place to fight back because there was probably a shit ton of very, very angry mutants who had just found out that he had turned on them and let them be sacrificed.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. Over at the Institute, Xavier's surrounded by everyone. And then you get the piece that I felt like was the most unresolved aspect of all this, which was the rogue Wolverine thing that they've been alluding to from the first episode. And apparently she was just mad because she found out the day before that he was leaving. That's all she was mad about from that entire interaction, like, of this everything. That's all. And
honestly, I'd forgotten kind of that thing was a thing in the first half of this season.
Yeah.
And I guess they felt the need.
They basically forgot about Rogue for the second half of the season too.
Yeah, so I guess they felt the need to address it at the end.
And she apologizes for doubting him, and Wolverine's like, "Well, I probably gave you a reason for doubting me, so it's on me too." And it's like, I
guess, sure, whatever.
Xavier from the future is congratulating everybody and has been like, "Yep, we stopped the war, we saved the world, and we saved everybody from the Phoenix and the Sentinels, but our fight's not over." And then, Rod, how about you talk about the last segments of this as somebody who's not a jaded X-Men fan like me? I want your interpretation of it.
Right before that tag ending, Xavier giving the recap of everything that happened in the future instead of seeing it. Okay, so I guess skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want Running Man spoilers. Okay. The Running Man ends this way. The new one with Edgar Wright and Glenn Powell, it hits like a climax in the the action. He's in a plane that's getting ready to crash. You've been through everything in the movie. You sat through 2 hours of this movie, the Running Man running and stuff. And then right before it crashes, everything pauses and a podcaster rips through the screen and gives you a verbal play-by-play of how the story ended.
And we're back from that spoiler. That's brutal.
So that's essentially what happened here. So we don't get to see the future fight. Right. Xavier's just like, anyway, everything's great now.
Right. I want to know, were they implying that they were in like the process of dying, and then when the future changed because Logan trusted Emma, it basically rippled and fixed itself.
Something. So. Okay, so now when he says, but our fight's only begun, and then it cuts and there's all these like upside down pyramids everywhere, or like kind of prism things.
Well, you get a shot from the Institute in the future, so showing the Institute is still there. And then yes, there are these white pyramids like floating in like a urban area, effectively.
So I think like it took me a second. I was like, okay, so this is probably an apocalypse thing. If it's something within my realm of knowledge, it's an apocalypse thing. And then I was right about that because they made a mention of apocalypse. And then I see a version
chanting it.
Yeah, and then there was a version of Cyclops that I'm not familiar with that is an actual Cyclops.
Yep.
And some like I don't like a very 90s stylized like Sinister kind of.
Everything
like I'm assuming that's Sinister.
Fully accurate. Yeah.
And then Apocalypse comes out. It's almost like Cyclops and Sinister are like his like guys, you know. And then it just cuts to black, and I was like, okay, so this is a storyline. I'm assuming that is ripped from the comics or something because it was very specific designs.
So most in particular is the Cyclops design with the one eye destroyed and stuff like that. That is Age of Apocalypse Cyclops. Very specifically, that design is AOA Cyclops.
I like that Xavier didn't open with also shoot Cyclops right now. Like,
you know what? He probably should have.
Right. It's just like he's only caused kind of problems, and now in the future he's a literal villain. But so I don't know what that was alluding to. I think my only thought when I watched it,
it's 100% alluding to Age of Apocalypse. There's no.
Well, I guess for a second season, like if they were just going to do that storyline, if that was just going to be like, because you never know how seasons were going to continue. If that was going to be like a B story or like an underlying thing, but I like my thought when I was watching it today was, man, this show almost ended with a perfect like wrap up. Like it covered pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And then that tag, like, it was just like, okay, now there's a cliffhanger.
Well, they Netflixed us, or Netflixed them, because at the time when that was all being done, they thought they were getting a second season.
Okay.
And kind of what I'd heard through the grapevine and stuff was like when they found out it was canceled, it was a sudden thing, and it was too late to fix anything. It was just, this is what the end is. You have to go for it. So.
Oh, it's kind of like, did you ever watch the original Quantum Leap?
I did not, no. So I know the concept, but I never watched it.
I guess, like, spoiler for, like, a, 30, 40-year-old show.
Older than this, yes.
Yeah. I can't remember if they knew they were going to cancel it or not, but, you know, the concept that he jumps from time to time in different people's bodies. Yeah. They got canceled, and so, and since they never got a chance to film a last episode, I guess they got canceled in time to edit the last episode. So they just put a title card at the end saying that he never returned home. And I wasn't old enough to appreciate the show when it was out, you know?
Yeah.
So, but my understanding from what I hear online and stuff, people are like furious about that. Like, what in the world? And so when the reboot happened, or the revamp happened a couple of years ago, they kind of tried to pick up the pieces of that. And they were just like, we're going to go save him.
Right.
But then that show got canceled. So we're still unresolved.
Yep. So, yeah, I think probably what had happened is they were planning on doing the similar style of story in the second season. Obviously, I have nothing that points to this other than my own feelings. But I think it was going to be future Xavier and Bishop, like, dealing with this world under Apocalypse, and the modern era Wolverine and team trying to prevent that from coming to pass. So
gotcha.
I think it was going to be that same, like, dual story time like happening.
I don't know if I would have liked a second season of like
the same
timeline. Yeah, like the time dilation thing or whatever. It's like I think but I don't know. We never get to see it. But yeah, I guess that's the thing. Aside from the cliffhanger ending, I think that's why I said like I like the shows, because it pretty much like it made sense that the show is called Wolverine and the X-Men, because it was like it felt like it was always meant to be one season. I know there wasn't, but like it was like, here's a story of Wolverine salvaging the X-Men.
Yes. Yeah.
And then that was it. That's what we got from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. And then from then on, it could have just been the X-Men. You know, like
right. Yeah.
Maybe Wolverine's still the leader, because Scott is like nowhere close to being the leader in this show, even at the end of this season.
Also on his path of becoming a villain, apparently.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I feel like it was not as like we got to resolve the vast majority of the story. The unresolved part was like we don't know what happens with Archangel, but for the most part, everything else gets a resolution. Aside from the cliffhanger. So, but I understand, because this was like 14 years after the Age of Apocalypse like comics came out. So if you were somebody who read Age of Apocalypse when it was coming out, and this was like your equivalent to like X-Men 92 was for you and I, you were probably pretty livid. And I think that's why we keep hearing all the theories of like Onslaught and Age of Apocalypse in X-Men 97 when people are like talking about those, because it's very much the like they got a taste of it and they didn't get to follow through on it. So I think that's what people want. I still stand by the fact that we don't need Age of Apocalypse in X-Men 97, because we literally had that with One Man's Worth. That was the story that literally inspired Age of Apocalypse, was One Man's Worth. It just came out in the wrong order because it was quicker to turn over a comic book than it was to turn over a TV show, you know?
Yeah. I don't know the comics obviously, but like they speed ran through so many storylines in X-Men 97 in the first season.
They got through like, a lot of them fast.
It's like, what's because individual episodes were like entire arcs, right? So it was like
Inferno was like a dozen issues kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's just like, do you wonder if they're going to keep up that pace? Probably not, right? Because like there was probably that desperation of the first season, like, okay, we got one
hit
season
as big as we can,
yeah. But we'll see. I don't know. Nope. But yeah, I don't know. I love the show. I don't know if I'll watch it again, because I don't watch too many things over again. And like I said, I have some criticisms of like I don't know if the Emma reveal was as clever as like I was hoping it to be. Like she was the cause of the big, psychic bang or whatever. But I do like everything that happened after the play out, like her sacrifice, like the, she was like the key, to trust Emma and stuff. Like it paid off more than like Heroes did. And Heroes was like at the same time, I think, right? That was like the late 2000s. Save the Cheerleader, Save the World.
Like a year or two earlier, I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah, so this delivered on Save the Cheerleader, Save the World better than Heroes did.
Yes. I enjoyed it a lot. I think I'm going to look back fondly on it. Mm-hmm. I think knowing that it's only a single season and there's lots of unresolved moments in it, I don't know if I'm ever going to come back to the show, candidly. Yeah. Not out of negativity. It's just like you're kind of setting yourself up for a tease in a way, because it's like, you're never going to get the payoff on this.
It's kind of like, have you ever watched the animated Silver Surfer show from around the same mid-90s?
No.
I love that show. I watched it in 2019 or something. Mm-hmm. But that's the same thing. It doesn't end because I think it got canceled or something at some point. So that's the thing, is the only thing keeping me from watching it again is knowing that I'm not going to get like that Schitt's Creek Good Place, like, or even X-Men 92 had like, even though it was
a final story.
Yeah, even if it wasn't like up to par with like the rest of the series, there was like an end to the story. And this one is like half and half, right? I think if you can cut it off right before Xavier says, "But we're just getting started," perfect little like story.
Yeah, if it was a scenario where they were getting canceled and they had the ability to cut it, you cut it there and you don't give the illusion. And sure, there's a few like lingering plot lines with like Maverick and the Team X stuff, or like what ends up happening with Sinister and that Apocalypse reveal from like a couple episodes prior. It's not great, but it's also like you don't know what you left on the table. Seeing the Age of Apocalypse and people chanting for him and seeing that very specific Scott design that a comic book fan knows about, it's like, oh man, they were ready, dude. They were ready to go for it. So,
this thing.
Yeah, but yeah, man, it was good. I love the fact that because we're doing the show, I'm going and watching certain things that I probably never would have went back to because of it. Like, this has been out since 2009, and it wasn't really until we started doing the show that I was like, oh, I need to go back and rewatch or watch this for the first time, you know?
Yeah, same. I wouldn't have watched this, mostly because it featured Wolverine. I don't hate Wolverine. It's just that Wolverine. He's obviously not my favorite character, but he's like so everywhere.
Yes.
That like I just don't pay. You know, he's not the draw for me. Like,
I think that's fair. Yeah.
But I know he is for most normal people.
Most
so I get
normal
it.
people, I would agree. Yeah, they're definitely fans of Logan. So
I get it. Like I think my brother watched this show when it came out because like he was. I think my brother was in college when this happened. So like this was but. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm glad we watched this. I don't know where. I guess where we going from here, like the anime and stuff.
I don't know. We got to figure that out. Here's the thing: we have stuff to watch. There is stuff to watch. I gotta kind of like do like spreadsheet Tetris to figure out like what makes sense, and then like I want to do some more of the like conversations with the cast and like you know, talk to some of the people who are behind the scenes on some of these shows too. So just got to figure that out, and that's a problem for 2026, Rod and JC, not 2025 right now.
And I'm not going to, based on how this year started, I'm not going to make any claims about how this next year is going to start.
Yeah,
it's going to be whatever it is.
Especially being in Los Angeles, that was a fun way to start the year.
That's what I mean. I got 3 days of work in. And then when I say work, I mean myself preparing stuff for, you know, potential work through the year. And then, man, oh man. So,
dude, I left one job and was like, cool, I'm going to take a week off in between to relax. That was the week of the fires.
Yeah.
So I get it. I was like, I'm just going to do like a little disconnect. And I think I was literally just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to like hang around the house and like get caught up on comics. That stack has gotten so much worse at this point. I'm easily 125 books behind right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this year was, I was just thinking back because December is my favorite. Obviously, I time to look back, but like, I kind of take stock of every year. And this year might have been my personal 2020. Because I know like 2020 for most people was, you know, like, and things shifted for me definitely. But this year, you know, we started, especially in Los Angeles, we started with the fires. Yep. We came kind of broad about this. The summer is very tumultuous in the city. And
June was not a great starting point to the summer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still happening. We just want to put that out there. And then like I had to move
unexpectedly. Yeah.
To this
without
place.
getting into the full details on that.
And then it finished off with the biggest music job I've ever gotten hired for, to the point where I had to hire a bunch of friends to work on it. So like this was the year. This was the most year I think I've had in a year.
I love that. This is the most year.
Yeah. Well, January was 5 years to begin with, and then this.
Seriously.
So. But yeah. So we'll see you in 2026.
Yeah.
With something.
And, if you have votes on what you want us to be doing, throw it into the comments on stuff. We got 6-ish months to figure out what to fill with at the very least. So on that note, for the last time in 2025, thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back next year with more X-Men content, which will include knocking on wood. I don't want to do it because I want to fuck with the microphone. Season 2 of X-Men 97. If you have any thoughts, drop them into the comments for the YouTube upload, the Spotify, or the Instagram post about this episode. And if you like what you heard, we would absolutely appreciate a podcast rating on the app of your choosing. Find us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, and 2026 is the year of CastBox. The lackluster thumbs up. Nailed
Sure.
it.